The factory's whistle blew, signaling the end of another long shift. The clang of metal and the hum of machines faded, leaving only the shuffling of exhausted workers making their way to the exit. My muscles ached from hours of repetitive labor, but my thoughts were occupied by the end-of-month bills that awaited me at home. As I stepped out into the crisp evening air, I noticed a young girl huddled on the sidewalk, her thin coat barely offering any protection against the chill. Her eyes were wide, and she clutched her coat tightly, shivering as she stared at the ground. I could see the hunger in her gaunt face, and something in my heart twisted. I glanced at my watch, just enough time for a quick bite before heading home. Without a second thought, I reached into my pocket and pulled out the last $100 I had. I approached the girl, trying to offer a reassuring smile. "Hey there, are you all right?" I asked gently. She looked up, her eyes filled with both surprise and hope. I don't have anywhere to go," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I nodded and took a deep breath, feeling the weight of my dwindling funds but determined to help. "Come with me. We'll get you something to eat and find you a place to stay for the night." We walked to a nearby diner, and I ordered a hot meal for her. As she ate, her eyes lit up with gratitude, and for a moment, she seemed to forget her troubles. I then found a small hotel nearby and booked her a room for the night. "Thank you so much," she said as I handed her the key to the hotel room. I didn't know anyone could be so kind. I smiled, though it felt bittersweet. Just take care of yourself. That's what matters. The next morning, I woke up to an unexpected phone call. It was the factory manager, Mr. Dawson. His voice was cold and official. "Ethan Parker, I'm afraid I have some unfortunate news. We've decided to terminate your employment effective immediately." I was stunned. "What? Why?" Mr. Dawson's tone hardened. "It has come to our attention that you might have connections with organized crime. We can't have that kind of association." My heart raced. "That's ridiculous. I don't have any such connections. I've done nothing wrong." "There's nothing more to discuss," he said curtly. "Your dismissal is final. You'll receive your last paycheck in the mail." I hung up, my mind reeling. How could my small act of kindness have led to this? Desperate to understand, I tried to piece together the chain of events. My thoughts kept returning to the girl I'd helped. Had I somehow been implicated in something I didn't know about? As I walked out of the factory for the last time, the weight of the situation felt unbearable. My stomach churned, not just from hunger, but from the crushing reality of having lost my job without any explanation. The kindness I had offered seemed to have triggered a cascade of unforeseen consequences, leaving me bewildered and anxious about the future. It had been a week since I lost my job, and the days seemed to blur together in a haze of frustration and worry. The job market was tough, and every rejection letter only added to my mounting anxiety. I spent most of my days combing through job listings and trying to stretch every penny. One afternoon, feeling particularly defeated, I decided to treat myself to a meal at a modest cafe near the park. I was seated at a small table near the window, nursing a cup of coffee and staring out at the gray sky when the door jingled, and in walked the girl I had helped, now dressed in a much warmer coat and looking much better. She was accompanied by a well-dressed man who exuded an air of authority. As she spotted me, her face brightened with recognition, and she nudged the man. They approached my table, and she gave me a tentative smile. "Ethan, right?" she said, her voice more confident than before. I nodded, surprised to see her. "Yes, that's me. I'm glad to see you're doing better. I didn't expect to run into you." The man beside her extended his hand. "I'm Carlo. I'm her father." I shook his hand, noting the firm grip and the glint of something unreadable in his eyes. "Nice to meet you, Carlo. I'm glad to see she's doing well." Carlo's expression softened as he turned to his daughter. "Why don't you go ahead and find us a table, sweetheart? I'd like to have a word with Ethan." As the girl, whose name I learned was Maria, walked away, Carlo took a seat across from me. His gaze was intense, and his voice carried a hint of authority. I wanted to thank you for your kindness towards Maria, Carlo began. She told me about what you did for her. It's not every day that someone shows such generosity. I shifted uncomfortably. I was just trying to help. I didn't think it was a big deal. Carlo leaned in slightly, his eyes narrowing. It was a big deal. You see, Maria and I, well, we're not just anyone. I'm a businessman, and sometimes the people we deal with don't always have the best intentions. My heart skipped a beat. Are you saying that? Carlo nodded. Yes, there was a misunderstanding. The factory you worked at, my connections inadvertently caused your dismissal. I'm here to apologize and make things right. I was taken aback. You mean my firing was because of a mix-up? Carlo's expression was sincere. Exactly. And I want to make amends. I'd like to invite you to join us for a meal at a high-end restaurant. We can discuss how to rectify the situation, and perhaps I can offer some assistance in finding new employment. I hesitated, still grappling with the surprise of the situation. I appreciate the offer, but why go through all this trouble? Carlo smiled, a genuine warmth in his eyes. Because people like you are rare, Ethan. You showed compassion when it was needed most, and I believe in repaying such kindness. It's not just about making things right. It's about doing the right thing. Later that evening, we arrived at a luxurious restaurant. The ambience was elegant, with soft music playing in the background and the clinking of fine china creating a soothing rhythm. As we sat down at a table, Maria looked at me with a grateful smile. Carlo gestured to the menu. Order whatever you like. Tonight is on me, and we'll discuss how to move forward from here. As I looked over the menu, I couldn't help but feel a mix of curiosity and apprehension. The man across from me had turned my world upside down with his unexpected revelation. I wondered what other surprises this evening might hold, and what new paths my life might take as a result of this unforeseen encounter. The high-end restaurant's opulence seemed almost surreal compared to the modest places I was used to frequenting. Soft lighting bathed the room in a warm glow, and the scent of gourmet dishes mingled in the air. I tried to relax, though the weight of the day's earlier events still lingered. As we settled into our seats and placed our orders, Carlo seemed genuinely at ease, while Maria was quietly attentive, casting occasional glances at me as if she was waiting for something. Once our food arrived, Carlo cleared his throat and began speaking in a tone that combined businesslike precision with a personal touch. Ethan, there's something important I need to clarify, Carlo said, cutting into his steak. The misunderstanding about your dismissal was indeed my fault. I want to make sure you understand exactly what happened. I nodded, my curiosity piqued. Please, go ahead. I'm listening. Carlo looked thoughtful for a moment, as if choosing his words carefully. The factory you worked for has some connections to my business dealings. Recently, I've been dealing with some problematic associates, and there was an unfortunate crossover of information. Your name was mistakenly linked to a different matter, which led to your wrongful termination. I raised an eyebrow, processing this new information. So, it was all just a mix-up. And the mafia connection. Carlo sighed, a look of regret crossing his face. Yes, it's a common misconception. My business dealings can sometimes be misconstrued, especially with the media's sensationalism. I want you to know that I had no idea about your situation until Maria brought it to my attention. Maria, who had been quietly eating, spoke up. Dad, Ethan was really in a tough spot. He helped me when I was in need, and it didn't seem fair that he ended up suffering because of a mistake. Carlo nodded in agreement. Exactly. I wanted to make things right. That's why I'm here to offer my apologies and to help you in any way I can. I took a deep breath, trying to process the whirlwind of revelations. I appreciate your honesty, Carlo. It's been a tough week, and this is a lot to take in. But why go to all this trouble for me? Carlo's gaze softened. Because you showed a kindness that was rare and meaningful. In my world, such actions aren't as common as they should be. I believe in making amends, and supporting those who have demonstrated true character. Maria smiled warmly at me. I've seen the difference your kindness made in my father's life. It's more than just a good deed. It's something that makes people like him reconsider how they act. As the meal continued, Carlo outlined his plan to assist me. I have a few connections in various industries. If you're interested, I'd be happy to introduce you to someone who could offer you a position. It's a reputable company, and I believe your skills and experience would be valuable. I was taken aback by the offer. That sounds like a tremendous opportunity. I'm grateful, but I also feel like I need to make sure I'm not just a pawn in a larger game. Carlo shook his head, a serious expression on his face. This is not about using you for anything. It's about helping someone who deserves it. And besides, I believe in giving people a fair chance. It's the least I can do after the trouble you've been through. Maria added, my father's offer is genuine. He's seen the impact of your actions and wants to repay that kindness. It's a way for us to make things right. As the evening drew to a close, I felt a sense of relief mixed with cautious optimism. The night had brought unexpected revelations and a potential new direction for my life. As we left the restaurant, Carlo's words echoed in my mind, reminding me of the surprising twists that life could take and the ways in which a simple act of kindness could create ripples far beyond what I'd ever imagined. The day after our dinner at the high-end restaurant, Carlo invited me to his office, a sleek, modern space with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a panoramic view of the city. I arrived, feeling a mix of anticipation and apprehension. Maria had assured me that Carlo wanted to discuss an important matter, and I was curious to hear more about his plans. As I stepped into the office, Carlo rose from behind his desk, his demeanor a blend of authority and warmth. He gestured for me to take a seat on the comfortable leather couch facing him. Ethan, I appreciate you coming, Carlo began, his tone serious but welcoming. I wanted to discuss something crucial with you. I sat down, trying to appear at ease. I'm all ears. What's on your mind? Carlo leaned forward, his fingers steepled in front of him. As I mentioned last night, your termination from the factory was a result of a mistaken identity. But there's more to it. The factory manager who dismissed you is someone I've been keeping an eye on. He's been involved in various underhanded dealings and mistreatment of workers. I raised an eyebrow, intrigued. What do you mean by mistreatment? Carlo's expression hardened. He's been exploiting employees, cutting corners, and turning a blind eye to safety violations. It's a pattern of corruption that goes against everything I stand for. When I heard about your situation, it only reinforced my decision to address these issues. Maria, who had been quietly listening, spoke up. Dad has always been passionate about fairness and justice. He's been waiting for the right moment to act against these corrupt practices. I looked at Carlo, feeling a mix of admiration and uncertainty. So, what's your plan? Carlo leaned back in his chair, his eyes focused on me. I intend to take control of the factory and clean house. I want to revamp the entire operation, starting with removing the corrupt manager and improving working conditions. Your insider knowledge will be invaluable in this process. I was taken aback. You want me to help you with this? I'm not sure how much I can contribute. Carlo smiled reassuringly. You've been on the inside, Ethan. You know how things operate, and your insights could help us implement effective changes. It's an opportunity for you to make a difference and for us to rectify the wrongs that have been done. Maria nodded in agreement. We're not asking you to take on a burden alone. We'll provide the resources and support you need. This is about giving you a chance to be part of something meaningful. I took a deep breath, weighing the implications of Carlo's offer. It sounds like a significant undertaking. I'm grateful for the opportunity, but I need to understand more about what this would involve. Carlo's eyes softened. We'll start by assessing the factory's current state, identifying the key issues, and devising a plan for reform. I want to ensure that the workers are treated fairly and that the company operates with integrity. Your role would be to help us navigate the factory's inner workings and advocate for the necessary changes. Maria added, "It's a chance for you to turn your experience into something positive. And it's a way for us to make amends for the trouble you faced." I felt a surge of resolve. If this is a chance to make a real difference and help improve things, I'm on board. I want to do whatever I can to help. Carlo's expression was one of satisfaction. "Excellent. We'll begin by setting up a meeting with the current factory management to discuss the transition. I want to make sure everything is handled transparently and professionally." As the meeting concluded, I left Carlo's office with a renewed sense of purpose. The opportunity to contribute to something meaningful and make a positive impact was both exhilarating and daunting. It was clear that Carlo's plans went beyond just helping me. They were about bringing about significant change and justice, and I was ready to be a part of that transformation. A week after Carlo's offer, the atmosphere at the factory was tense. The workers, sensing changes on the horizon, were both anxious and hopeful. Carlo had made it clear that he wanted to overhaul the factory's operations, starting with addressing the grievances and improving working conditions. My role in this process was pivotal, and I was both excited and nervous about the responsibility. One morning, Carlo invited me to his new office, which was located in a sleek, modern building downtown. The office was bustling with activity as Carlo's team prepared for the upcoming changes. I walked in, greeted by the hum of efficiency and the sight of Carlo waiting for me by his desk. "Good morning, Ethan," Carlo said, smiling as he gestured for me to sit. "I wanted to update you on our progress and discuss your new role." I took a seat, eager to hear more. "Good morning, Carlo. I'm ready to get started. What's the latest?" Carlo leaned back in his chair, his expression one of determination. "We've begun the process of taking control of the factory. We've met with the current management and initiated the transition. Your insider knowledge has already proven invaluable in identifying key issues and potential areas for improvement." Maria entered the office, holding a stack of documents. She placed them on the desk and looked at me with a warm smile. "We've also drafted a plan for immediate changes, including safety upgrades and better working conditions. We need someone with first-hand experience to oversee the implementation." I glanced at the documents, feeling the surge of excitement. This is incredible. It's everything I've hoped for, a chance to make a real difference. Carlo nodded. "Exactly. And there's more. I want to offer you a managerial position at the new company we're setting up. This will give you a leadership role and the chance to shape the factory's future." My eyes widened. A managerial position. That's a huge opportunity. I'm grateful, but I'm also a bit overwhelmed. What would my responsibilities entail? Maria spoke up, her tone encouraging. "You'll be responsible for overseeing the implementation of our new policies, managing day-to-day operations, and ensuring that the workers' needs are met. You'll also be involved in training new staff and maintaining open communication with the workers." I took a deep breath, feeling a mix of gratitude and nervousness. I'm excited about the role and the chance to contribute to the factory's transformation. I just want to make sure I do a good job. Carlo's expression was reassuring. "I have full confidence in you, Ethan. Your dedication and knowledge make you the perfect fit for this role. We'll provide you with all the support and resources you need." Maria added, "And remember, this is a fresh start for you. We're here to help you succeed and ensure that the factory becomes a place where employees are valued and treated fairly." As I absorbed their words, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. The opportunity to lead and make a positive impact was both daunting and exhilarating. I knew there would be challenges ahead, but I was ready to embrace them. Carlo stood up and extended his hand. "Let's get to work, Ethan. We have a lot to do, and I'm glad to have you on board." I shook his hand firmly, feeling the surge of determination. "Thank you, Carlo. I'm ready to get started and make a difference." As I left the office, I felt a profound sense of optimism. The road ahead would be challenging, but the chance to be part of something meaningful and to help improve the lives of the factory workers was a rare and precious opportunity. With Carlo and Maria's support, I was ready to take on the challenge and embrace this new chapter in my life. My first day at Carlo's newly acquired company was a whirlwind. The transition from my old job at the factory to my new role as a manager in this high-profile operation felt both exhilarating and overwhelming. The company was a far cry from the dingy factory I had been used to. Gleaming offices, sophisticated technology, and a team of professionals who were eager to meet me. When I arrived at the office, the reception area was bustling with activity. I was greeted by Olivia, the HR manager, who led me to my new office. She was a poised woman in her early 30s with a warm smile. "Welcome to the team, Ethan," Olivia said as she handed me a keycard to my office. "We're thrilled to have you on board. Carlo has spoken highly of you." "Thank you, Olivia," I replied, trying to mask my nervousness. "I'm excited about this new opportunity and eager to get started." Olivia showed me around, explaining the layout of the office and introducing me to a few key staff members. I noticed a mix of curiosity and cautious optimism in their eyes. Clearly, they were interested to see how I would fit into this new environment. Later that morning, I sat down with Carlo in his office to discuss my role and the initial steps we needed to take. Carlo leaned back in his chair, his gaze thoughtful. "Ethan, I want you to start by familiarizing yourself with the key operations of the company," Carlo said. "We've already begun implementing some changes, but your insights from the old factory will be crucial in ensuring we address all the necessary issues." "I understand," I said. "What are the immediate priorities?" Carlo's expression became more focused. "First, we need to assess the current state of employee morale and working conditions. I want you to conduct a series of meetings with the staff to gauge their concerns and suggestions. It's essential to build trust and show them that we're committed to making real improvements." I nodded, taking notes. "I'll get started on that right away. Is there anything specific you'd like me to focus on during these meetings?" "Just be honest and approachable," Carlo advised. "We need to demonstrate that we're here to listen and act on their feedback. The goal is to create a positive and productive work environment." As the days passed, I began meeting with employees, both individually and in groups. The feedback was mixed. Some were hopeful about the changes, while others were skeptical based on their past experiences. It was clear that gaining their trust would take time. One afternoon, as I was wrapping up a meeting with a team of engineers, Sarah, one of the senior engineers, approached me with a concerned expression. "Ethan, can I speak with you for a moment?" she asked. "Of course, Sarah," I replied. "What's on your mind?" Sarah took a deep breath before speaking. "I appreciate the effort to improve things here, but I need to know if these changes are going to be sustainable. We've seen initiatives come and go before, and it's hard to believe in the promises if there's no follow-through." I could sense her frustration and understood where she was coming from. "I hear you, Sarah. My goal is to ensure that the improvements we make are not just temporary fixes, but are sustainable and meaningful. I want to be transparent and keep open lines of communication. If there's anything specific you're concerned about, please let me know, and I'll do my best to address it." Sarah seemed slightly reassured. "I appreciate that. I'll keep you updated if I have any more concerns." Later, I reported back to Carlo about the feedback I had received. It's clear that there's a lot of skepticism among the staff. They're cautious but hopeful. I think we need to demonstrate tangible progress to build their confidence. Carlo nodded thoughtfully. "I agree. We'll need to show them that we're committed to long-term change. Let's start by implementing some of the suggestions they've made and addressing any immediate issues they've raised." As I settled into my new role, I realized that adapting to this new reality wasn't just about adjusting to a different workplace. It was about embracing a new mindset. The opportunity to make a real impact was both a privilege and a responsibility. I was determined to prove myself and help transform the company into a place where employees felt valued and heard. The journey ahead would be challenging, but it was one I was prepared to face. With Carlo's support and the chance to build something meaningful, I felt a renewed sense of purpose and commitment to making a difference. The months following my transition to Carlo's company had been transformative. The changes we implemented were beginning to show positive results, and the company's atmosphere had shifted from one of cautious skepticism to hopeful optimism. As I settled into my role and took on more responsibilities, I found myself reflecting on how far I had come and how much had changed since that fateful day I helped a stranger. It was a crisp morning when I arrived at the office to find Carlo waiting for me in his office. He had a broad smile on his face and a stack of documents in his hand. "Ethan, come in," Carlo greeted. "I've got something I want to discuss with you." I took a seat across from him, curious about what was coming. "What's up, Carlo?" Carlo placed the documents on his desk and leaned forward. "I've been reviewing the progress reports, and I'm pleased to say that we're seeing significant improvements. The staff morale has risen, productivity is up, and we've had positive feedback from several clients." "That's great news," I said, feeling a surge of pride. "I'm glad to see the hard work paying off." "It's been a team effort." Carlo nodded. "Absolutely. But that's not all. I've been considering the future of the company and our role in the community. I want to explore ways we can give back and make a broader impact." I leaned in, intrigued. "What do you have in mind?" Carlo's eyes lit up with enthusiasm. "I'm thinking of starting a community outreach program, something that aligns with our values and supports local initiatives. We could provide scholarships, support small businesses, and engage in environmental sustainability efforts." "That sounds like a fantastic idea," I said, excited about the possibilities. "It would be great to use our resources to make a positive difference beyond the company walls." Carlo smiled. "I'm glad you think so. I'd like you to lead this initiative. You've shown exceptional leadership and understanding of our values, and I believe you're the right person to spearhead this." I was both honored and nervous about the new responsibility. "I appreciate your confidence in me. I'll do my best to make it a success." As the weeks went by, I worked on developing the outreach program. I met with community leaders, organized meetings with local organizations, and gathered input from our employees. The response was overwhelmingly positive, and the project began to take shape. One afternoon, I met with Claire, the head of our newly established community relations team. We were finalizing the details for our first major initiative, a scholarship program for underprivileged students. "Claire, I'm really excited about how this is coming together," I said. "What's the latest update?" Claire smiled. "We've finalized the scholarship criteria and selected a panel of judges from the local education community. Applications are starting to come in, and we're getting a lot of interest." "That's fantastic," I said. "Is there anything specific you need help with right now?" Claire thought for a moment. "Actually, yes. We're planning a launch event to announce the program and generate buzz. I'd like your help with the presentation and making sure we have the right message." "Count me in," I said. "Let's make this event a success." The launch event was a resounding success. The community turned out in full force, and the enthusiasm for our outreach program was palpable. As I looked around the room, I felt a deep sense of fulfillment. We were not only improving the company but also making a tangible difference in people's lives. Later that evening, as the event wound down, Carlo approached me with a satisfied grin. "Ethan, you did an excellent job tonight. The program is off to a great start, and the community's response has been incredible." "Thank you, Carlo," I said, feeling a mix of relief and pride. "I couldn't have done it without your support and the hard work of the entire team." Carlo placed a hand on my shoulder. "You've earned this, Ethan. Your journey from the factory to here has been inspiring, and I'm proud of what you've accomplished. This is just the beginning. There's a lot more we can do, and I'm excited to see where we go from here." As I left the office that night, I took a moment to reflect on the journey that had brought me to this point. From the uncertainty of losing my job to finding a new purpose with Carlo's company, I had embraced the challenges and opportunities that came my way. The future looked bright, and I was eager to continue making a positive impact, both within the company and in the broader community. Embracing this new reality had opened doors I never imagined, and I was ready to move forward with hope and determination.